Men with no hose. Where are you? What are you doing? Get your ass over here.
Did you know that 53% of single men don't approach women because they're scared of coming off as creepy? This means that single women are going to have to step up their game and make the first move. You're telling me half of men will finally leave me and my friends the fuck alone at the bar and stop coming with their unsolicited advances? Let's ramp those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
I don't know why they're not going up to women. Like, what's holding them back from that?
Because of feminism and Me Too and all that shit. And because women will put men on blast who, like, maybe awkwardly approach them. You see also those gym TikTok videos where girls like work out in the gym and then there's like a guy who like glances at them for like 1 second and they fucking blast them. That's what guys are scared of. And these guys they're not even doing anything wrong. They're just like innocently, sometimes they're not even looking in their direction. So there's like this social component now where like people are terrified to get like being exposed on social media. So
the attractive men are not at the bars anymore. You know where they are on a Friday night? They're at the fucking gym. I mean, once late at night yesterday, on a Friday night. Tattoos, muscles, brunettes, men.
Are you approaching girls at a bar?
Me?
Who, me?
Who, me? I'm too nervous. I just wait in the corner and sip my drink and be mysterious.
I honestly find that guys aren't approaching girls at the bar anymore.
Weirdly enough, yeah, me neither. I usually would hear like my friends like be like, "Oh my god, like, I'm gonna go up to that girl." I'm like, "Okay, cool." No one really does.
It's like one of your friends said it to me recently. So another guy I know said it to me, and I'm like, "You're all very attractive men," and they're like, "I am like terrified. I'm anxious," and then I'm like, "You don't even have to be anxious because you're so attractive. They're coming up to you. Like that's why."
Yeah.
One question: where's all the fine men? Where's the men that make you want to buy lingerie? Where's the guys that make you blush? Butterflies in your stomach? Where are the fine men?
Where the fuck are the decent men in LA?
It seems that some modern women are attracted to men who show little interest in them, interpreting this behavior as a sign that the man has many options. This dynamic often leads to a cycle where women lose interest once a man shows genuine commitment. This pattern can be likened to a dog chasing a car. Once the dog catches the car, it doesn't know what to do next. Similarly, these women may not know how to sustain a relationship once they achieve it, leading to dissatisfaction. Many decent men may feel overlooked or disillusioned because they perceive that their qualities like stability and commitment are not valued. These men might prefer to save for a house rather than rent an expensive apartment, showing a long-term mindset that is often overlooked in favor of more immediate thrills.
So it's been brought to my attention that men no longer want to come up to women anymore. Due to sex allegations, women being just so rude and disrespectful, and rejection. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know men didn't want to come up to women anymore. I'm barely finding this out. Why do women choose to cuss guys out when they come up to them and approach them? I have no idea. I apologize for that. But there's just too many fine men. And if it takes me, the women, having to come up to you guys and shooting my shot, saying what's up, being the big stepper, then I'll just have to do that. And I'm going to just start coming up to you guys and shooting out compliments and see where it takes me. So if I start coming up to y'all in the grocery store and I say, "Excuse me, sir, you are just so sexy," I want a response. Okay, I don't want none of that shy stuff.
We complain about these entitled females thinking they're the greatest and sliced bread, but I have to give her credit for being humble enough to put herself out there and approach men. Now, of course, she's only going to approach these top 10% men, and this is nothing new to most women if the guy is high value enough, like he's famous, they'll run to him like they're being chased by a bear. Just look at Drake's concerts. Females throw their bras at the stage. Also, I think it's a little too late. She should have done this when she was a virgin to her dream man she wanted to marry, not now, after she's Tyrone leftover. Let's see what the comments think. Majority of us enjoy peace and quiet with no drama. Also, the bank account is getting bigger by the day. Damn, rejected. That's actually true. Sure, she approaches, which strokes your ego, but dating her will still cost money and your free time. Most women don't even speak back. Even when we just say hello, talk about lack of humanity, and these are the same brats that expect us men to die in a war to protect them. Just remember that only on the internet. Honestly, that sounds about right. This whole video probably got her a ton of DMS for men. Chameleons will just say this to get attention. Just remember, she said fine, as in she's not going to approach the average salt of earth guy, just the men that do actually get approached by many women.
Finally, my first time getting hit on in Home Depot, and he's not even attractive. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm here all the time. So for all you people who are like, go to Home Depot, that's where all the men are. No, they're not.
It seems that many modern women are attracted to a small percentage of men, often referred to as Chads and Tyrones, who represent the top 10% in terms of looks, charisma, or social status. This creates a validation loop where these women seek approval from these men, often overlooking the majority of men who might not fit this narrow ideal. When these women refer to guys, they're often thinking of this top tier, and the remaining 80% of men might feel invisible or marginalized. This can lead to feelings of frustration and resentment, especially when they're labeled as creepy or subjected to negative stereotypes. It's important to acknowledge the diverse experiences of both men and women in the dating world. While some women might focus on a small percentage of men, there are also many women who value qualities like kindness, stability, and genuine connection over superficial attributes. For men feeling overlooked, it's essential to stay true to oneself and seek out relationships where mutual respect and genuine interest are present. The dynamics of attraction and validation can be complex, but building meaningful connections often requires looking beyond the surface and appreciating the deeper qualities in one another. Why do women think that holding out for Mr. Perfect will lead to happiness? Newsflash: perfection doesn't exist, and waiting too long only narrows your options. Men are tired of being treated like options, while women search for the next best thing. We want real connections. Not just to be another name on a list. Rejection is part of dating, but when it feels like a game to inflate egos, it becomes toxic. Mutual respect should be the foundation of any relationship.
I absolutely love when these kind of black males say stuff like, oh, we don't date black women. No, hun, black women don't date you. Because let's just keep it a buck. Like, let's just keep it honest. The black males that act like they don't date black women are just the black males that black women have passed up on for years because something is wrong with them. Come on now. Black women don't date you. It's not the other way around.
If you can't read the small text, it says 6 p.m. my boyfriend and I were supposed to go on a date. It's 2 hours before the restaurant closes. 7 p.m. 1 hour before the restaurant closes, and I'm starving. He stood me up. I guess he's not your boyfriend anymore. Now let's analyze this situation. She appears to be dealing with disappointment and perhaps anger. Her expression, described as having resting bitch C face, might suggest she's genuinely upset, but it's essential to consider multiple viewpoints. A boyfriend wouldn't typically ghost someone for no reason unless there's been ongoing tension or conflict in the relationship. Alternatively, if she prioritized superficial qualities in her partner, like height or appearance, she might be experiencing the shallow results of those choices. It's also worth noting that emotional displays, especially on platforms like TikTok, may not always be genuine. The comments from single black women supporting her narrative often overlook a critical issue. Many of these same women will, in the future, criticize good black men for marrying outside their race. This paradox is frustrating for many men who feel unappreciated. One male commentator points out the high number of single black mothers, attributing it to deadbeat fathers. Another responds by asking why these women chose to get pregnant by men who don't take responsibility. This cycle of choosing unreliable partners over stable, lame men is a significant issue. To all men, regardless of race, my advice is to find places and people where you're appreciated and valued. If you're a good guy, employed, and in shape, you're in higher demand globally than those who take their value for granted. Seek out those who recognize and respect your worth, and don't waste time on those who don't.
Another rejection story, and no, I am not excited to share this one, and I might cry because I was so excited about this guy. Let's get into it. This was a 4th date with a great guy, and not just like dinner. This was literally like a 15-hour date, preceded by a 3rd date that was about 10 to 15 hours. So we had been spending a lot of time together. Communication was on point. We had talked about making future plans of like, let's go on this trip, let's go to this concert, whatever. During the date, I started to feel a cold sore coming on. And I said several times on the date, I think I'm getting a cold sore. Not thinking I had to explain what a cold sore was. I thought the general public, because 90% of people get cold sores, that I didn't need to explain what it was. Later that night, we were talking about it more, and I clarified because he didn't understand what a cold sore was. So I explained where it comes from, how it's very common, what category of viral diseases, I should say, that it's in, which is the herpes virus. Definitely, I could tell was freaking him out, and there was a lot of tension. And so I suggested that maybe he leave. Mind you, I should mention, this man had a lot going on. I'm not going to get into all of that.
But a lot of things that I was like, okay, this is not something I would normally go for, but he's so nice and like so kind. Like our connection feels so good. So there were so many things going on that I was like, I feel like we have a strong connection. I'm going to look past it. And no one is perfect. Everyone is flawed. He texted me this. He can't get past the cold sore situation. And that he wishes I had mentioned it earlier, which I explained to him. I didn't mention it earlier because it's a non-issue for most of my life. But I don't know if maybe he heard the word herpes and got scared because that's a big, scary word. But also to be unforgiving about one flaw in somebody is a giant red flag to me. I just really think like we need to destigmatize cold sores just because they're in the herpes category. It's no different than getting chicken pox, shingles, all of those things. It's just wild that people are uneducated about this and unforgiving about it when it's literally not the biggest deal in the entire world. One thing I will say is that this man treated me with more kindness, respect, and care than any other man I've dated has. So I will take from that this is the new standard and baseline going forward. So I do have gratitude for that.
There is a perception that some women, often labeled as 304s, are only interested in a particular type of man during their younger years. This narrow focus can lead to disappointment later when they seek different qualities in partners. It's understandable that men who felt overlooked might feel a sense of vindication when these women face rejection from the very men they once ignored. However, it's essential to approach this with empathy and understanding. People's preferences and priorities can change over time, and everyone deserves to be treated with dignity regardless of their past choices. For men who feel overlooked or undervalued, it's important to maintain standards and self-respect. Rejecting someone who previously ignored you can be empowering, but it should come from a place of self-worth rather than spite. Moreover, the conversation around relationships shouldn't be about winning or losing, but about finding genuine, meaningful connections. It's crucial to recognize that everyone makes mistakes and that personal growth is possible. Instead of focusing on past grievances, we should strive to understand each other's experiences and motivations. Ultimately, building healthy relationships requires mutual respect, clear communication, and a willingness to look beyond superficial judgments. By fostering a more compassionate and inclusive dialogue, we can create a better understanding of the complexities of modern dating. Men are opting out because they're tired of the games. We want someone who is real and not trying to fit a social media persona. These women complain about toxic masculinity, but then chase after the bad boys. It's a contradiction that drives good men away. Why are we expected to be superheroes? Tall, rich, funny, and emotionally available? These expectations are unrealistic and unfair. Good men are tired of being the backup plan. We deserve to be a priority, not an option when all else fails. It's often noted that there are more famous black men married to women of other races than there are famous black women in interracial relationships. This observation touches on some complex social dynamics. Women like the one in question often refer to black men who aren't Tyrone Pookie or Ray Ray as corny simply because these men aspire to be faithful, professional, and stable, qualities that should be celebrated. She might think it's a flex to reject these men, but the reality is that these so-called corny men have found partners who respect and value them. Meanwhile, women with this mindset often end up single and discontented. The truth is, rejecting good men doesn't change the fact that these women may face a lonely future unless they reassess their priorities and values. When someone cries on social media, it can sometimes be for the sake of garnering sympathy, attention, or even financial support from sympathetic viewers. This doesn't mean all public displays of emotion are insincere, but it's crucial to be mindful of the context. Here's a thought: if women don't want to be ghosted or stood up, they could consider offering to share the cost of the date. This gesture might ensure a more equitable dynamic and increase the likelihood of the date actually happening. If a fancy restaurant is out of reach, cooking a meal at home could be a heartfelt and appreciated alternative. However, the notion that cooking for a partner is slavery is an exaggeration. It's a mutual act of care that both partners can enjoy. So instead of relying on expensive dinners or dramatic social media posts, building genuine, respectful connections based on mutual interests and values can lead to more fulfilling relationships. And remember, it's about finding balance and understanding each other's perspectives to create a healthy and supportive relationship.
The less approachable you are, the higher in value you are. And let me explain. And I don't mean this to disrespect any woman out there, but usually the most women that are getting men in their DMs are usually the women that look approachable. And the women that look approachable usually dress a certain way and look a certain way. And I'm not saying that dressing a certain way makes you what they think you are. But usually when you are, for example, protecting yourself more, in the corner more, not showing off your body, men are actually intimidated by you because they know that you're harder to get. So if you're not being approached a lot, that's not a problem. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Remember, cheap products always have more people wanting it because it's cheap.
It's true that sometimes men might hesitate to approach women they perceive as good or modest, because they assume she's already taken or because they fear rejection. This hesitation can create missed opportunities for meaningful connections. On the other hand, there may be a tendency to approach women who appear more openly available or who fit a certain stereotype. However, it's important to recognize that every individual is unique, and assumptions based on appearance or perceived qualities may not always reflect reality. Good women, just like anyone else, come in all shapes, sizes, and personalities. They may not fit into a single mold of what is perceived as good or modest.
Why does a guy look at you, stare at you, watch your stories, but then never approaches you or asks for your number? Now, before I get into it, it's your internet big sis with Love Bets back with some sisterly dating advice. Now, I would say this is a question I get asked so much, and I just thought it was worthwhile doing a video on it to clear it up. The thing about men is they are led by their eyes. The first thing of a man that makes contact with the world is his eyes. Men are so visual. That's how they're created. Men stare, they look, they observe, and their favorite thing to look at is women. They love looking at, boobs, bum, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but they just love looking at women. They love just, is that girl that this person was talking to? Is that guy? So the first thing I think as women we need to understand is a guy can stare at you for no reason. I think if women understand that, we will be so powerful. Like, we really, really, really need to take some of the value out of the male gaze. It's nice to have the male gaze, but understand that a man can just stare at you for the sake of staring at you. A man could be staring at your knee. Like, a man can stare. Men can stare. The easiest thing for men to do is stare. Now, when we start to get to the situations where there's more intent behind it, I think is a guy can be staring at you because he finds you attractive, but he's trying to decide whether or not he wants to cheat on his girl. That's the truth. A guy could be staring at you because he has a girlfriend and he doesn't want to make the first move, but he's staring at you so you will make the first move so he can play it like he was the victim in the situation. A guy can be staring at you because he knows he wants to experience you sexually, but he doesn't want to work for you. So if he stares at you long enough or tells this person that he thinks you're cute, you will make the first move. And then when he's done with you, he can be like, well, she approached me. Well, she's the one who was on me. Like, I was minding my business. So a guy will set you up as well to move to him. In terms of watching stories, one, I think as women, we put so much value in people watching our stories. Like, who cares? Like, first of all, it's the easiest thing to do on Instagram is go and watch someone's story. Like, you literally there's loads of times I've watched someone's story by accident because I'm just flicking through and then it's gone someone's story I don't even want to watch. I'm like, oh, and then I've come out. Like, anyone can watch your story. So if a guy wants to get your attention, he will get your attention. Like, it's the easiest thing in this world is to get somebody's attention. If your child wants your attention, they will call your name. If you drop something in the street and a stranger wants to get your attention to let you know you've dropped something, they will get your attention. The people who try to get you to give to charities on the street who don't know you from a can of paint get your attention. So this grown man who allegedly likes you and wants you, if he wants you, he will get your attention. You are not a leprechaun. You are not special. Not in a bad way, because, you know, we're all God's special children. But if he likes women, he has approached women. Because if you want to talk to women, you have to approach them. So the fact that he's not approaching you is a very clear sign that all is not well in the water. Like, don't give it thought. Like, I don't want to say I hate, but a part of me hates when women ask you, why isn't a guy approaching me? It's not your business. Don't worry about why he's not approaching you. From the minute he doesn't approach you, he doesn't exist. Wipe it from your mind. Like, if a man wants you, he will make it very clear that he wants you. That's how men are made. And I hate when people say, oh, what if he's shy? Do you think all the men who work at NASA are confident? Do you think all the men who work in these big banks, bringing home 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures, are confident? Do you think that every man who's married is confident? Shyness is never going to stop a man going after what he wants. Shyness just means that man is not going to be up in the place loud. That's the only thing shyness means. If a man wants a woman, he will do whatever he can. You've seen the movies where the dorky kid wants a girl and he gets on a bus and sits near her every day. And then the minute he has an opportunity to talk to her, he talks to her. The minute, like, if a man wants to speak to you, especially and we're talking about children in that example I gave you. If a grown man who is able to get himself a job, a house, a car, friends, if he's able to do all this and amongst all the shyness, he is able to talk to you. That's not the only shy man in the world. Shy men have been conquering earth since the dawn of day. So please, I don't want to hear, what if he's shy? If he's shy and he still doesn't want you. That's what that means. Like, if a man wants you, you will know, because he will approach you. He will make it very clear that he wants you. And then the ball will be in your court. If a man does not approach you, he either hasn't really seen you in that light, is trying to manipulate you to make you speak to him. And we all know how I feel about shooting shot as women. Don't. I have a video on my page. Go and watch it if you need to. Or he's just not interested in you. Or he probably has a girlfriend and he's just looking for entertainment, but he knows that his girlfriend is insane and he's not willing to risk it. Or if he's willing to risk it, he wants you to lead it so he can say, well, she spoke to me. So like I always say, there's always an exception to the rule, but for best results, assume it's not you.
At least she's being honest about if a female doesn't have looks or a look that a man likes, he's not interested. It starts with looks, but like always, her viewpoint is based on her trauma getting ran through by the players and dags, and also she's got no problem with the staring, which means if only. These top men stare, it's okay, but if it's one of us, it's creepy. So are you as men in the MTA. We'll let these females wait for the mythical chat and Tyrone to finally approach them, because we know it's not worth the risk. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get Somo gifts. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads. Drop a comment and share. It's see you in the next video. Till next time, for